Welcome back. I'm that Halloween movie collector, Pat, and in this video, I had so much fun doing my favorite kill from each Halloween movie, and we just did a ranking of all the Friday the 13th masks. I'll throw a little link up here. Go check it out on that horror movie podcast. I thought it'd be a lot of fun to do all my favorite kills, each favorite kill from each Friday the 13th movie. I mean, there's some amazing kills throughout this whole franchise, some gory, some quiet off-screen ones, but just let's be serious. Jason was like a gore fest, but and I'm not complaining in any way, shape, or form. I love it. This is my second favorite horror franchise next to Halloween. So, with that being said, let's start now. 1980s Friday the 13th, the one that started it all. There's some cool deaths in here. Everybody would think naturally you'd probably pick the Kevin Bacon death, because it's famous. It's Kevin Bacon, and all the blood splurting out, that little happy accident of the blood squirting out like that, which is pretty iconic. But my favorite is probably Marcy in the bathroom scene, where she gets the axe to the face, played by Janine Taylor. So that one, she's in the bathroom, she's hearing things, and it's actually kind of an off-screen thing because you don't actually see the axe go into her face. You just see her go back towards the wall. That was the one I always liked. And the makeup, the great Tom Savini looked great, and it was just one of the more shocking deaths in that first Friday the 13th. From 1981, Friday the 13th Part 2, my personal favorite of the entire franchise. I did do a ranking of the franchise from best to worst, all of my favorite ones. Throw a link up here if you want to go check that out as well. That was a lot of fun. This is very nostalgic for me. I love Amy Steele as the final girl in this, one of my favorite final girls. And I do love Sackhead Jason. Some people are very partial to it. There's people on both sides. Either you're a Sackhead guy or you're not a Sackhead guy. You just want Jason in the hockey mask. But I love this entry in the franchise. It's easily my favorite of the entire franchise. And there's a lot of cool deaths in here too, but none other than more shocking than Mark Jarvis. He's in the wheelchair. He's waiting to get a little, hoping he's going to get laid that night. And he hears noises. He goes out on the porch of Packanack Lodge. And what happens? He gets that machete right across the face. What a shocking scene. And then to add insult to injury, the poor guy goes down one of the longest bank of freaking steps. And he's still in the wheelchair the whole way going down. One of my favorite deaths of the franchise. Easily. But that is my favorite of 1981 rather. Friday the 13th, Part 2. 1982, Friday the 13th, 3D. Yes, it was in 3D. For those that don't remember, back in the day, I did see it in the theater in 3D. Not a big fan of 3D movies. I've said this before. To me, they just give me a headache. When you look at through one red lens and one blue lens, and it's just, to me, they just never got it right when it came to 3D, especially back in the 80s in the theater. So it plays much better on video. That's just my opinion. If you liked it in 3D, you like 3D movies, that's cool. Me, nah. And then this is one of my favorite portrayals of Jason. Richard Brooker, he played it so calmly, and he very nonchalantly. He had those really long arms and those shoulder pads where he had those enormous traps. He just looked so menacing. And obviously I'm a Halloween fanatic, Halloween collector. This was the one that was most like a Halloween movie. If you remember the very beginning, where he's stalking the couple that owns the store, and you see him behind, very reminiscent of Michael Myers. See him behind, like, hanging laundry. You see him pass by the window. He's in the shadows. You're not seeing him because you got to remember, he didn't have the mask yet, so he's walking around without a mask. So he's kind of got to hide because people are gonna know what the hell he looks like, because he didn't get the mask until Shelley appears later in the film. So, but as far as deaths go in this, easily Vera. Easily. The scene, what's her name? Catherine Parks. Yeah, Catherine Parks. Where she's sitting on the dock. She just turned Shelley away one more time because he's been hitting on her the whole time. She drops his wallet into the lake and tries to get it. And then she sees Jason come out with the hockey mask on, and he's got the spear gun, and she's thinking it's Shelley. Pulling another freaking joke. And then she's like, wait a second, you're not Shelley. Who are you? And then he just shoots. It's like, but the 3D kind of blows in it. Shoots and hits her right in the eye, and she goes over in that lake. That, to me, was and then just drops it nonchalantly, just walks, looks it up, and just moves along. Very Myers-like. Love that scene. "1984, Friday the 13th Part 4, the not-so-final chapter," because we know it's not. We know how these movies play out, man. When you make money, they'll just figure out a way to keep going, and I'm glad they did. I'm not complaining. But this is one of my favorite entries into the franchise either. One of my favorites of the whole entire franchise, because you get some great stuff with Crispin Glover in here. The infamous Crispin Glover. I don't even want to know what you even call that dance. You get Tommy Jarvis introduced as a child, Corey Feldman, and there's some great some nice little nudity, because most of the Friday 13's got to have a little bit of nudity. No complaints. So this is just one of my favorite ones, and there's a lot of cool deaths in this. But to me, my favorite one is easily Crispin Glover. He's like sort of central in it. That Buddy Ted's breaking his chops. He's saying, "Jimmy, you're a dead fuck." The whole thing is the dead fuck thing, which is just a big funny thing we use all the time. Shut up. What are you, a dead fuck? And the scene where he nails a girl and he comes downstairs to look for the corkscrew. And he's just like, "Ted, where's the corkscrew?"
Ted, hey, Ted, where the hell's the corkscrew?
And then he just, the corkscrew right into the hand, sticks there, and then boom, next thing you know, he gets a cleaver to the face. So it's like a double whammy. So that's my favorite death of the final chapter. 1985, Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Very decisive entry into the franchise. I actually did a little comparison thing where, because this is like the black sheep of the Friday the 13th franchise. And if you look at it in terms of Halloween, sees the witches, the black sheep of the family. Check it out. It's just who did it better, who went outside the box better, so to speak, in their respective franchises. So it was a lot of fun. Check it out if you feel like it. It's just, then this movie over the years, they seem to finally found this audience. There's more and more people coming around to it. I personally like this entry. I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it doesn't have the real Jason in it. I get it. But to me, it's a fun popcorn watch. There's some great kills. It's got my favorite boob scene in probably all movies. Shout out to the amazing Debbie Sue Voorhees. Oh, but that's a different video. I love that scene. So she's easily my favorite. And it's either you like it or you hate it. There's not very many people in the middle on this film. But there was a lot of cool deaths, and there was a lot of funny moments. There was a little, every Friday the 13th does have a little injection of humor, and of course, it was Ethel Jr.
Would you shut the fuck up?
So this, with the recently deceased, the late Carol Locatell and Ron Sloan. So my favorite, not her death, because it was very underwhelming. She just hurt, she just stabs her, and she just goes into the slop. But Ron Sloan's death is great because he just got his ass kicked by Tommy Jarvis. He's all freaking pissed off, and he's riding his motorcycle back and forth and screaming and yelling and screaming and yelling, and then boom, he just gets beheaded. Just great. Because I saw that in the theater, you didn't expect that to happen. So it was just like, whoa! It was just a very nice jump scare. So that is my favorite death of Part 5. 1986, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives. Now, this is one of the more popular ones in the franchise. A lot of people put these at the top of their list, and this was in the top 3, I believe, when I did my ranking. I love this movie. Just a fun movie, great soundtrack, great nostalgic time of my life. 1986, I was a freshman in high school. I worked at a movie theater. I remember working in the box office when this actually was premiering that Friday night. So it's got a little bit of nostalgia, not albeit it's a fun watch. You see the adult, albeit a much different adult version of Tommy Jarvis than you saw in Part 5, because that guy looked like he was in his 30s and had like a family, a wife and kids. So we do I like the Don Matthews Tommy Jarvis a lot better. And there's a lot of cool, great kills in this as well. But I would have to say the sheriff, when they're at the, later on when they're back at the camp and he confronts the sheriff, and Jason confronts the sheriff, and then basically just snaps him and back. I mean, that was just like, oh, ow, ow, holy shit! It's like he snapped him in a sofa bed, which basically was a scene from something you'd see in one of the later films. So that was my favorite kill. There's a lot of cool ones in this, but that to me was just like, ow, ooh, ooh. I mean, I almost picked Court's death, where in the Winnebago, and he gets the knife in the head, but because it did have a real good dramatic crash of the Winnebago and a visual of Jason on top of it. But I just that's snapping because the sheriff was a dick. He's trying to tell him all this shit. He's just being an asshole. He's not listening to anything he's saying. So he kind of deserved to get snapped in half. So that's my favorite kill. 1988, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. It's okay. Entry in the franchise, not one of my favorites. But it does have one of the iconic kills. You got the couple that are fooling around and they're camping in the tent, and Jason kills the boyfriend and then comes and just rips open that the tent, pulls her out in the sleeping bag, and just fucking whacks her on that tree. Iconic. And actually, they even repeated this in a later film. In the remake, they did the same thing. Albeit she got it even worse because she was hung over the fire cooking. But that's my favorite kill, and it's a pretty popular kill in the franchise, where he just takes her and just bam, slams her against that tree. No more to be said. Awesome kill. 1993, Jason Goes to Hell. Really not one of my favorites in the franchise, but albeit a cool death later on in another camping scene. Deborah, there, she's sitting there. She's basically riding boyfriend in the tent, and there you see not Michael. It's always Michael Myers. No, you see Jason slice open the tent and come from behind and just sticks the machete and just goes up and just rips her in half. And that kill was just very, very, I mean, because it was a very explicit sex scene. And if you read into it, from what I understand, these people, the two actors whose names I don't remember, were actually at one point had been romantically involved, and they weren't anymore. So I guess it was kind of awkward. And they were both completely naked, so it was very graphic. And not a big fan, not all, no complaints. But that's definitely my favorite death of that film. Not a big fan of Jason Goes to Hell. Not much to choose from there. And if you like it, more power to you. Everything's subjective. You like what you want. I'm only just here to let you know what my favorites are. 2001, Jason X. Another one I'm not a big fan of. A lot of people, same thing. This is like very divisive, like a Friday 5. Either you're on one side where you like it, on the other side you don't. I don't have a problem with it. It was nice that they tried to do something outside the box. That was a great cameo kill. David Cronenberg, the director in the beginning. This is another entry with a lot of sex scenes in it, and there's no complaints from here. There's definitely a lot of that going on, and a lot of pretty girls. But of course, it's got to be Adrian. I think her name was, right. Yeah, Adrian. The girl whose face he puts in the liquid nitrogen, and it immediately freezes her face, and then he takes and just smashes it on the counter there. That is just iconic. That's just a great kill. Great visual, because the look when her face hits and you can see it freezing because of the nitrogen, and he just slams it down and throws her. That's easily my favorite of that film. 2003, Freddy vs. Jason. Everybody waited for 10 years and anticipated this film. They could not wait to see the showdown, and I'm mixed on this as well. It's not bad. I do enjoy it. There's a lot of good Freddy moments, a lot of good Jason moments. If you go watch my review I had mentioned, or even go when we took on that horror movie podcast when we ranked The Mask. My biggest problem was this. I like Freddy Krueger. Don't get me wrong. All you Freddy fans out there, I love that whole franchise. I'm more partial to Jason. Like I said, it's my favorite horror franchise next to Halloween. And the majority of the movie, he kind of just treated him like a bitch. So I wasn't appreciating that. Albeit he does come out on top at the end. And there wasn't too much going on in this film. But I would have to say the one killed was Troy. The couple that is screwing around on the bed that folds. And he comes in. And he's just actually pretty brutal. Just stabbing him in the back. And kudos to the actor who held on to that beer the whole time. Didn't spill it. And then he snaps the bed in half. This is what I was mentioning before. Sort of like when he snapped the sheriff in Part 6. And it's just that whole visual, and she comes in and sees it. It's, of course, she gets her ass handed to her too. And another, we should do a ranking or the countdown of how many people get killed while having sex in Friday the 13th movies, because there's an awful lot. I think that might be a good one for that horror movie podcast. I have to bring it up to the boys. But that's my favorite of this movie. 2009, Friday the 13th, the remake. Now, I love this remake, and there's a lot of people that do like it. I mean, of course, it's got its detractors because the OG is always the best. I deal with the same shit when it comes to Rob Zombie versus the original. I like this. I'd love to see them one of these days after all this legal nonsense is over. I mean, I granted most of it is over, and hopefully we do get a film. It'd be nice if they picked up after this remake. Now this is a review. My biggest gripe was the whole where the guy's looking for the sister because the sister was abducted by Jason and held captive. I don't see him holding a hostage. That's like Michael Myers holding a hostage. That was probably the only thing that took me out of the film. But the rest of the film is good. And here's another entry. If you want some nudity and some boobs, there is no shortage of that in the 2009 remake. But my favorite kill, and there's a lot of great kills in this too. My favorite, probably because he deserved it, because he was such a dick, is Trent, the guy that owns the house that they're up there visiting and nitpicking everything. He's just a conceited, rich asshole. And when he gets stuck to that hay baler and it just drives off, and the visual of him stuck on the back of it, you just want to cheer because he was such an asshole. Granted, there was some other cool kills. You had a call back to Vera's kill from part 3, where they're out on the lake and Jason shoots him with a spear gun and it hits him in the head and comes out the other side of his face. So that was a little an homage to that. And I was going to pick that one too, but I'm like, I just always partial because I just cheer when that prick Trent gets killed because he was such an asshole. And there you have it. Those are my favorite kills from each Friday the 13th. Do me a favor. Comment down below. Let me know what your favorite kills are from each. Let's see I'm curious to see how other people's matched up with mine. Because Lord knows in this franchise, there's a lot of kills and there's a lot to choose from. And the majority of them are really, really good. So this wasn't as easy as it sounded. I did go through it and took a little bit of back and forth in my head to figure out which one I was going to put on this list. But let me know. Let me know after the fact. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like this video. It helps people find this. We're going to try to start doing some more videos. I got real busy the past month. That's why this is probably my first pre-produced video in probably about a month. We're still doing a lot of live stuff with my buddies Joe and Brett with that horror movie podcast. Go check out that horror movie podcast. We're live every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 Central, and we just have great subjects, great people in the chat, and just have a lot of fun talking horror, comedy, music, movies, just everything. Just have a couple of drinks and just see how much trouble we can get ourselves in. So be sure to check it out. And every Tuesday night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, we do that live movie watch along where we pick a movie each week, usually a horror movie, but once a month, usually in the middle of the month, we'll do a comedy. So be sure to go check it out. It's just a lot of fun, interactive with everybody that watches along with us. And it's just I look forward to every Tuesday to do that. It's one of my favorite things of the week. So be sure to check that out. We also have that Halloween movie book club. So we went through the Halloween novelization already. And we're going to finish up the Halloween 2 novelization as of this recording this week. Moving on to Halloween 3. We're going to go through all the Halloween novels. So if you want to know what the differences are between the books and the movies, be sure to check that out on this channel. Because once we work our way through the Halloween novels, we're going to start doing the Friday the 13th novels. So if you're watching this and you're a Friday the 13th fan, keep a lookout. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, because I would think probably be a couple of months till we get through all of the Halloween novelizations, and then we're going to start the Friday the 13th. And then probably move on to some other horror ones, because it's getting a lot of positive feedback from this, and I'm enjoying it. And the best part of it is, if it's not on YouTube, it's on Audible, because I don't have time to read. I love reading. I just don't have time. So if you don't have time, you can just listen to it. I listen to this back and forth to work. That's how I do my reading, so to speak. I just listen to it. So be sure to check that out. If you're a collector, you see all the Halloween stuff behind me, you're interested in seeing all my collection, it's at that Halloween movie collector on Instagram. Well, I post daily about things that come into the collection, things I have, updates on this channel, just fun shit like that. And I'm also, that Halloween Movie Collector is also on Twitter, so you can check that out. Updates about the collecting and the channel, and that horror movie podcast is over on Twitter too. Be sure to check it out. We're on all the socials, all this bullshit. You don't need to hear it. It's all in the description of this video. So if you're interested and you want to explore a little bit more, check it out. I hope you do, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll come back for some more videos. So that being said, make sure to tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell the dog that's always barking in the backyard. Say, go watch that Halloween Movie Collector and the three-headed monster on that horror movie podcast. Those guys are out of their fucking minds. So, hope you enjoyed. Hope you come back. And until then, I will talk to you soon.